This is Asbog, and you want to play your Warlock better in Battleground PvP. Well, Warlocks are fantastic at Battleground PvP because we can dot up a lot of particular targets, and so we do a lot of high damage to those particular targets. You can see here I am in my ninja outfit, but let me remove that for you. Oh my god. Well, this is my character. And I've come back to World of Warcraft, and I'm going to show you some interesting specs in 7.2.5. See my glowing, flaming eyes. It's pretty awesome Malga guy going on here. So here we go. Basically, this is the talents I'm going to use, and there's two specs. The first spec is basically a single target, super high damage, destruction type spec. Okay. I find that this spec is amazing. I've just did it in a battleground. I racked up 17 killing blows, and it's amazing. Okay. And this is the new spec, so because some of the talents have changed and been swapped around, this is what I found to be really quite good. So let's just look at this, and then here is the honor talents. If you want to just kind of, if you don't need to see the rest, I'm going to explain what each tier is a little bit, and I'm going to explain it through. So Haunt is just not great. It's not fantastic. It doesn't do a lot of damage. It's got a cooldown, so you get countered a lot by a lot of the stuff in the game that has counters. So it's not that great. It may be pretty good for PvE, but we don't care about PvE here. PvE is an ends to a means to get better gear for PvP, and the gear you get from PvP is pretty good. It's good enough. Wrath and Agony is very good. Probably in more rated situations, like rated battlegrounds, I can see it being a lot better because people don't die as quickly. It's difficult to remove curses, and it can stack up to 15 times. It usually is at 10. I think they nerfed it. It used to be up to 20, so they probably nerfed it down to 15. It's just more of a PvE thing, I think, and Malefic Grasp is where you want to go. So basically, we're trying to focus all of our energy into draining one target down and melting. This is the melt spec. You know, we want to destroy someone by melting them down and destroying them really easily. And it's sort of single target focus, like we're sitting in the back. We cast a few, got a little spider friend here. We cast a few unstable afflictions on somebody, and we melt them. Contagion is an extremely good synergistic thing with this, and increases our damage when we have to get an unstable affliction off, which means that if a melee guy or one or two melee guys are around us, we're going to have a hard time. It's not going to be impossible, but it will be difficult. Mortal Coil is really good. Howl of Terror is also extremely good too, because it can get 5 enemies. I've seen other professional players use Howl of Terror over Death Coil. They picked it over even other better abilities, but you have to have really good healing to use it. And there's so many ways to break fear, but it has a 40-second cooldown, which is pretty nasty. You know, it's a pretty long cooldown for what you need. But Mortal Coil in battlegrounds, especially like Pug battlegrounds, you don't get that much healing because they usually have 1 healer, 2 healers max most of the time. You're lucky to get 2 healers in most battlegrounds. And this will heal you up to 20% of your maximum health. Demonic Circle is situational for arenas. Yeah, I've used it many times. And Warsong Gulch, it can be pretty good if you want to carry the flag, but Warlocks are pretty terrible flag carriers. But this can create a really awesome situation. But, you know, certain classes like monks, I think this is like an innate ability for them where they can just teleport around. So Phantom Singularity is used to be a high tier talent, and now it's been bumped down to this 3rd tier level 60 talent. And this is really powerful. It does almost 1 million damage over 14 seconds. So in battlegrounds, you have about 5 million HP, 6 million if you're really well geared. Most people, I think, have about 5 million-ish. So it does about 1/5 of it, but it hits everyone within 20 yards. But here's the nice thing. This used to be on like a minute cooldown or a minute and a half cooldown. It's been buffed. It has a 40-second cooldown now. So this is really, really good. It also synergizes with Malefic Grasp, because it's a dot. Drain soul channel damage over time effects, so it amplifies it on the target. I'm trying to get better at putting it on targets. It's difficult because most of the time you're just destroying people, but this is one that the cooldown is up so much, you got to use it. It's just too good, and it heals you for 20% of the damage done. And again, it excels really well in group fights. Sow of Seeds is the other spec we're going to talk about in a minute, and Soul Harvest is not a bad option. But you got to be able to get a lot of agonies on people. So what some of the professional rated battle used to be, this has been nerfed. It's gone through several nerfs though. But the reason why it's so good is you can get a lot of agonies off on people. You get like 4 agonies, I'm thinking 3-4 agonies. Then you pop this, and then you basically hit like Sow of Seeds or something. I'm thinking that's like super situational. You pop this, and you'd have to go with like a Wraith and Agony spec because you're more agonies focused really, because it's hard to remove those curses. But the problem is that it doesn't work really. It just doesn't. I'm not saying it doesn't work. It can't work. I just don't play it. Because I don't need to. I just destroy people with this spec. Level 75 talents here. We have Demon Skin, Burning Rush, and Dark Pact. Maybe some of you other warlocks here that are a little more experienced can help me out in the comments. But basically, I picked Demon Skin because I did the math. They're about equivalent in damage mitigation. But this comes up. This is passive. It runs all the time. This is true. Maybe for arenas this is better because I don't know if this can get purged or dispelled, but it comes up every minute. I'd rather just have something passive that works all the time. You can use this while you're incapacitated, but I already have Unending Resolve, so I don't want to have too many defensive cooldowns to manage because it starts to overwhelm the processes that you have to do as a player. Grimoire Supremacy is sweet because you can summon an Infernal or a what is this? A Doomguard. Grimoire Sacrifice is more PvE oriented, but it's been nerfed, so other people have told me it kind of sucks. But I used to use it, and I liked it a lot when I played, when I did PvE. And then Grimoire of Service is really where you need to go because you need to have the silences when you're fighting other casters or other casters coming at you. Then you have a lot more options. See, on my bar here, I have Grimoire Fellhunter, so I summon another Fellhunter, which is awesome. Then I summon also Grimoire Succubus. I can seduce you as well, which is good for 2s or other things. Death's Embrace, you have an option here. Death's Embrace is a great option to Siphon Life, but I find myself probably you could go with Death's Embrace for rated battlegrounds where the healing is probably there, but Siphon Life is just really powerful. It does half a million damage over 15 seconds, heals you for 60% of the damage done, which is somewhere around 300,000, which is good. But you start casting on multiple people, 3 Siphon Lives up, well, you're healing yourself for 1 million now over 15 seconds. So if you have just one guy on you, you're going to be able to, he probably won't even hurt you. And so there's been situations where I'm just laughing my face off because you're also draining souling them. Plus you have Siphon Life up. And then with Malefic Grasp, remember, it's amplified. All of our damage over time effects are amplified, so we're amplifying Siphon Life on the person. Death's Embrace is badass, though, let's face it. 50% damage increase. Now, one reason why I quit playing the game a while back in 7.1.5 is because they nerfed Death's Embrace. It used to be 100%. So that's where you get the 500k dot ticks and stuff like that. When someone gets low, it just blows them up. I mean, they literally, once they get below 35%, they just blow up. Now it's not that way anymore, and it seems like there's like a lot of, I don't know every little nuance of every other class, but there seems to be a lot more defensive cooldowns and stuff, and a lot of more people have a lot more outs. Like when they drop below a certain HP, they get a lot more benefits and stuff, so it's harder to kill them. So it seems to me like Death's Embrace has lost a little bit of its killing power, and like I said, I just played a battleground where, you'll see it in the next video I post on the channel here, where I'm just destroying kids, and I use Siphon Life. I want to use Siphon Life because I want HP, because I don't get healed and I get frustrated when I die. Let's move over to the honor talents. I always pick up Relentless. As an orc, it synergizes. It does synergize with Relentless and reduces all crowd control effects. If you're more Adaptation or Gladiator's Medallion, it's good, but most professionals, they're going to use Gladiator's Medallion in an arena because they want to break out of the CC when they know they need to. If they get hit with some stupid little CC, they don't use Adaptation. Scrubs use Adaptation. Better players use Gladiator's Medallion, but it's on a 2-minute cooldown. So I'd rather have just it all the time working for me. So it's just usually when I'm getting zerged, I want all the stun effects to be reduced, and that's the whole point. Warlocks get really jacked when they're stunned. So I don't know what it is. I think they nerfed Mind Quickness. I think the haste used to be higher, And they've done tests where this, but I'm more greedy now, whatever. I go with train of thought. Because I'm in the back. If I don't get attacked for 8 seconds, which is not that long, if you think about it in battlegrounds. If I get attacked, yes, my damage gets lowered and my dots don't tick on you as quickly. Big freaking whoop. But my damage shoots up. So I want to be able to do a ton of damage. And it just seems to me like this is where you want to go. Initiation, I looked at it, what is it? If they're above 80% health. So this is more of like control style. It doesn't, to me, it seems like we're not trying to chip someone down and get them damaged to 80%, because we really want to finish people off. And again, the spec works. I mean, the spec works. Curse of Fragility is really great for battlegrounds, and Curse of Tongues and Weakness is for arena. So you can alternate if you're versing melee or a caster if you want to slow down a caster. Curse of Fragility is just powerful. It reduces, it's like you're hitting someone for 20% of their HP. That's a 1,000,000 damage hit right there. Boom, just with a curse. I don't use it nearly as much as I should. It's on a 45-second cooldown, so you can pop it really frequently. The reality is I want to drain. You know, I want to pop out my drain soul, so oftentimes I forget to curse you. But if I feel someone's getting low and they drop to half health, boom, Curse of Fragility on them. Just really hurts them. Really great for flag carriers or orb holders, things like that. It's fantastic. You have 3 things here. Essence Drain is great for 2s. It used to be really good. They've nerfed it several times. It feels nerfed. It's not bad if you want to fight against melee, but again, you have to drain soul them, and then you have to run a Curse of Weakness. So I feel it's more of an arena thing where you're trying to drain them and nerf their damage. Casting Circle used to be really powerful, but now it just kind of sucks. The reason why is it only limits 1 interrupt. Before it used to do all interrupts. This is back in like 7.0 or whatever, or the release of Legion. And the problem is now it only does 1 interrupt, and you have to stand in the circle, so you have to be really, you can't move very far. So it's just not that great, and it only has a 70% chance to work, so it's random. It's not. It used to be 100% unlimited interrupts while you're in the circle. That was awesome, and it used to be really good because we need a way to fight melee. But I guess melee cried too hard to Blizzard, and they nerfed it, and so it's been nerfed. So we got Netherward instead, which is just sort of the. It's really good for fighting other casters. It can reflect a lot of things. It can reflect the Paladin's Hammer, do a lot of things like that. So I've tested out a couple of these. Soul Shattered, you know, I wouldn't bother with it. It just seems like I don't want to consume all my dots off people to do 10% of their total health and shadow damage. Just I get more haste, but only for 8 seconds. I mean, they need to buff this or change this something. It's on a 1-minute cooldown. I don't know. I guess it can do 10% damage, but you remove all your dots. It just doesn't seem very. I'm trying to think. Maybe an arena might be okay, but what I find is, so I'm going to talk about the Nightfall spec in a second, which is also a really cool spec. But I went with Endless Affliction, and I'll tell you why. So it does the same amount of damage as normal, but what happens is, since they've nerfed Rotten Decay, your dots will fall off. But with Endless Affliction, your dots don't fall off. Okay, so you get a ton more duration on those dots, so you can just keep applying it, and basically you ramp damage. What I want to call is ramp. You ramp the damage on someone, and over time you just keep ramping the damage on someone, and you just do huge damage. Now you probably will, I think probably the Rotten Decay will only tick every 1 second, so yes, some of the unstables will fall off. But the reality is, with all the damage that you're doing, with all the synergistic damage that you're doing on one target from all your talents here, often 3 unstables is enough. But say someone isn't going down for whatever reason, they're getting healed, and you just want to keep pounding them with unstables, be my guess. You know, on Endless Affliction, say you get stunned, you're not going to be able to cast those. Your unstables are going to fall off because they have such a short cooldown. I think of 6 seconds normally. Let's take a look here. So they last up to 7 seconds. So we add 6 seconds. We almost double the duration. But if it's just, what's really terrible is, I think they've nerfed Warlock so hard. They used to be, when you dispelled an unstable, a person might just die. Like if you got 4 unstable afflictions on someone or 5 unstables, and a healer was like, "Oh, I'm going to dispel you," they just used to get nuked, and it would like crit them for like 1 million or 2 million damage. So they would be like, how'd I die? Because they lose like 50% of their health. So eventually they cried hard enough and they whined and they nerfed it. And I think it only does 1 dispel damage. And clarify it. If I'm wrong about anything, clarify it in the comments, or if you have your own suggestion, clarify it in the comments. But that's what I understand. And so they nerfed it a while back. It was sort of a stealthy nerf, and that's another reason why I quit the game. But we work with what we get, and this is what we get as Warlock, so I'm giving you what you can work with. But it's actually pretty good. It's actually really good. Rotten Decay is still really powerful. Gateway Master is okay. The range on Gateway Master is amazing. The problem is that it still takes a while to cast it. I guess you can jump through it and get away. You get really far away from melee, but then what? Then you're like, what? You're going to take a healing pot or eat some food while they gank you? They just mount up, or Paladin rides his horse and ganks you. But this is probably really good for rated RPGs, where you can run coordinated stuff with flag carrying and stuff like that if you want to run with the flag carrier. But most of the time I've done BGs, they're like, yeah, we need you to watch the node or something like that because you have a pet. Who cares? So Curse of Shadows, it's too difficult to get off all these dots and curses. It only lasts 10 seconds. They need to buff this to where it lasts to like 20 or 30 seconds. So make it a serious, because you're giving up Rotten Decay, okay? So we need to make it. And so it also affects all shadow damage, so it pairs up well with Shadow Priest. That's what Curse of Shadows used to do, or something like that. So magic damage over time effects will strike the target for additional time as 20% of their damage as shadow. Last 10 seconds. It will work with Shadow Priest. The duration needs to be buffed. It's on a 30-second cooldown, so 1/3 of the time the dots are hitting him hard, but you can't refresh your dots, okay? So Drain Soul with all the synergies and stuff that you have, it seems like just Curse of Shadows is a little weak. Again, if you think you have a Curse of Shadows spec, that's pretty cool. Probably I'm thinking like in 3s where you're running with the Shadow Priest or another Warlock, you both run Curse of Shadows. So one guy curses and then the next guy curses and you coordinate it real well. Yeah, I guess it could be okay, but and when everybody's dotted up, but really it's only, what, 10% more damage? When you do Rotten Decay with Malefic Grasp, it's 25%, okay? All damage, but it synergizes with Shadow Priest. That's the only thing I can think of, really. Rotten Decay is sort of Rotten Decay is just the go-to tier for this, because this is really, we want to refresh all of our dots. We want to build and ramp up our damage. So yeah, we start off slow, which is cool. Agony starts at 1 tick as well, but we're ramping up. We're getting more unstables on our target, and we drain. We refresh those damages. Okay, then we got maybe another shard. Boom, I do it again. I drain again. Okay, this is the Ice Cream Melt spec. Okay, this is the Melt spec. This is an awesome spec. I don't think you can go wrong with this pretty much in any situation. For Battlegrounds, for Arena, I just told you maybe have to switch up some talents. Be my guest. Let's check out the next spec. This spec is using some of the newer talents here that we have in 7.2.5, which is Sow of Seeds, the Seed spec. I'm going to change a few of my talents here. We're going to go with Sow of Seeds. We're going to pick up Absolute Corruption. Malefic Grasp is still really good, but if you want to, we're going to be more dot focused, so you can pick up Wraith and Agony. So we're moving off of sort of a single target to more of a group damage target. Still want Demon Skin, still want this, but we want to pick up Soul Conduit now. So we do lose a lot of our healing from Siphon Life, but we want to be able to generate shards. And whenever every soul shard you spend has a 20% chance to get refunded. We want to be able to proc off Nightfall, which we're going to go to our honor talents here. Still got everything pretty much the same, but we're going to pick up Nightfall. Now we could switch, instead of having Rotten Decay, we are going to lose that single target damage, but we're going to pick up Gateway Master or something like that. But you can stick with Rotten Decay if you want. Everything else is sort of the same. The premise behind this spec is that we're sitting here in the ditch in Eye of Storm, and we are just Hail Marying Nightfalls at people. We're Hail Marying them. I have it triggered here in Weak Auras. I'm going to show you how to set up your Weak Auras and your add-ons in another video, but you can see we're just hurling tons of it. And it's very situational. It only works in a few battlegrounds. Eye of Storm is one of them. Any battleground you feel like people are going to clump up. The Battle for Galenus, it's another one where people are grouping up near the node. Alterac Valley, you know, big Zergy ones. This is really powerful. Let me explain why this works so well. Let's open up our spell book. We're going to go to Seed of Corruption. Seed of Corruption is awesome. This is a great... I used to do a ton of damage with Seed of Corruption for PvE. And when the seed detonates, it applies corruption to everyone within 10 yards. So that's why we pick up Absolute Corruption. But we need to generate shards. Now, the reason why this is awesome too is because our artifact will actually heal us based on off of our corruption. So every time corruption ticks, with Absolute Corruption, we almost heal ourselves. So it's really good. In fact, Absolute Corruption is still really good. Empowered Life Tap is also pretty good because I tap a lot, and that's also a 10% increased damage. But with the other spec, Contagion, we're just squeaking out a little more damage with Contagion because we're focusing on one target with the Unstable Affliction, so we magnify that single target damage. But with this, we're not so much concerned on single target damage, so we pick Absolute Corruption, and it's permanent on PvE monsters, which is fantastic. Absolute Corruption is still really good. Okay, then we're going to go to everything else is the same, but we're going to pick up Sow of Seeds because we want to basically spread the seeds of destruction out on people, and they're going to blow up, and it does an insane amount of damage. Now, I'll be honest with you, the other spec we do does really, really good damage too. This is just another option for you that you can try out in like Eye of Storm and see what you think about it. It's pretty cool. And we refund all of our Nightfall specs by doing with Soul Conduit. So we have a chance to just keep spraying people with seeds, and every time corruption ticks, when it blows up on people and it lasts for 24 seconds, we have a big opportunity. So we have to, every time we seed, every other global, we have to be tabbing and hitting people with Agony to try to get more shards. Everything else is the same. We're going to just basically hit people with Nightfall. And again, Rotten Decay isn't really that great, but it helps you out with some of those single target fights that you will inevitably get into. But you're going to lose a lot of your damage, obviously, from it. So these are the two specs, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And let me know your comments about these specs in the video. And if you are playing on Horde or Alliance, I usually click you up as Alliance. Check out some of my other videos on World of Warcraft on this channel. Like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video.